Guess what? It's football season. Yes, it is. It's time for Robert E. Lee football once again in 2014. The Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic begins this week at Earl Campbell Field, Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. There's a Thursday night game between Gilmer and Liberty ILO. John Tyler plays Plano on Friday night. There's a Saturday game, and then Saturday night it's Robert E. Lee against Keller Fossil Ridge at 7:30 at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. So the Red Raiders getting cranked up. Coach Darrell Piske in his third year as the Robert E. Lee football coach, and talk about what it's like to the excitement of, after all these months of preparation, finally getting this thing started.
Yeah, you know, the kids and coaches are no different than the kids. We spend all that time in the summer doing summer workouts and 7-on-7 and doing all that stuff, to where really when it gets here, we're ready for that first real game to get here.
You know, the funny thing about it, I know as we tape this show on a Monday, school is beginning for TISD, but for the football players, they've basically been at Robert E. Lee just about every day this summer, haven't they?
A lot. You know, they can't come on Fridays, but they've been there. Most of them have been there for 6 weeks, Monday through Thursday, for a couple hours working out every day.
Plus 7-on-7 up there at the school doing that and
all
that stuff.
Yeah, there's not really summers anymore. I mean, the hot weather's still there, but the time off isn't.
Right. So for these football players and everybody around the program, the commitment that they have to make to do this.
Yeah, really, we've talked to them about that. You know, there's a lot of people not willing to sacrifice what they're sacrificing to compete in athletics. It takes a lot of extra time and effort, and you still got to stay on top of your studies and do all that. So really, it's a special kid, male or female, that participates in athletics and takes it to a high level. Yeah,
I was going to say, I mean, I have a son in your program, and just the discipline that it takes. I mean, whether they ever play a lick, just the whole process.
That's right.
Is really a heck of a deal.
Yeah, just to be, you know, stay on top of your studies and do all that. There's a lot of time involved, and you know, like I say, not everybody's willing to do it.
Right. That's what and then you want to go out and actually win some of these games too.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, right?
Yeah, that'd be the best part.
Before we talk, we'll talk specifically about Fossil Ridge, you know, here in a bit. But just give me an overview. The team you play. Somebody you've really not seen before. This is brand new stuff.
Yeah, really, I've seen them besides film. I've seen them, you know, in person. Last Friday we went over and watched their scrimmage. They've scrimmaged early in the morning last Friday over at Birdville, and they got a good football team.
That was nice of them to do that for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Really, I think that's smarter than all of us, beating the heat, doing all that. But you know, we were able to go see them for the first time. Right. I know last year they were 9-4. Had a really good football team, played South Lake Carroll to 3, and I think Coppell beat them by 4, so that was 2 of their 4 losses, and so they've got a really good team. And then looking at what they have coming back, they've got a big running back. It's a big old strong runner, thick legs, look like tree trunks, and a couple of receivers that were inside guys last year, and they've moved them to the same side. One, I think he's number 13. You know how in the scrimmages everybody, you know, puts wrong numbers on, so they look just like we did. Everybody had the wrong number on, but 2 really good receivers. Quarterback, there's 2 of them that throw real well. One of them's a pretty good runner also, so it's going to be a big challenge.
You got 3 non-district games. How did this game come to be?
Well, actually, a friend of mine, I was trying to find that first game, and you know, we had some local people and stuff like that that just didn't work out. And so just trying to get somebody new, you know, and try to find somebody that we didn't know anything about. And, you know, a friend of mine knew Coach Vaccarini, and so I called Tony and talked about the East Texas Classic and all that, and he likes doing that kind of stuff. And so it was able to work out, and we got it booked, and now here it is coming. He
used to be the coach at Brownsboro a number of years ago, so he knows, pretty familiar with East Texas. So they're a throwing football team, right?
They're going to throw it a bunch.
Yeah.
You know, from what I saw in the scrimmage the other day, if that's any indication, it's going to be a long game.
You're a throwing team too, but you also can run the ball. I mean, just give me an idea. Okay, if you're going to describe your offense, Coach, how would you describe it?
Well, I hope it's going to be one that scores a bunch. And you know, now that's where we've made the most improvement on the offensive side. We're going to be able to run the ball. We could run the ball last year, but we got to be able to throw it with consistency and take advantage when those guys kind of load the box up to stop Zach and Tavon. Those guys running the football, you got to be able to take advantage of it and spread the field and go deep and kind of make them protect all areas. And really, from what I saw in that first scrimmage the other night, we looked pretty good doing it.
Now, Zach Hall started last year as a sophomore. You ran him out there as a 10th grader, and he had his moments. I mean, he did pretty well.
Yeah.
Had some mistakes, but talk about the area, how he's grown this year.
Well, really, he's just matured, understanding, taking care of the football. I know the other night he scrambled around, and it was so, you know, it's kind of confusing in scrimmage because sometimes they're blowing the whistle, as soon as a breath of wind comes by him, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they're letting people get to him. But he flushed out of the pocket and threw one kind of late over the middle, and automatically he turned around and said, "My bad." He understands you don't throw late over the middle, so he's maturing and understanding he just got to take care of the football.
And in some ways, I mean, you had some really good receivers last year, but this group, you may have more depth in this bunch than you did even last year.
We
right?
do, and we're going to miss those guys from last year, but these younger guys have stepped in, and really we're too deep at every receiver spot, which was our goal, and we don't fall off much, and sometimes in the past, depth-wise, you're sitting there, and when you're thinking of what you're fixing to run offensively, you got to figure out, well, who's in there? Is that the right guy in there for that play and all that? We don't really have to think about that this year, so that's been a good bonus.
Who are some of these young men?
Well, we got Jordan Devers and Dante Johnson out on one side, and the other side we got Ajuan Barker and Zach Dunn. And then on the insides, we got Tyreek Grayson, Mason Parker, and then Trevor Carr and Jawan Banks is basically our two deep at those four receiver spots.
And Trevor played quarterback last year, so this is kind of new for him, but he's a heck of an athlete.
Yeah,
right?
he's a good athlete, and I tell you what, Trevor, just leadership-wise on the team with his attitude and stuff, he's really,
He's a senior.
Yeah, that's right. And really, he's come to the point where we talked last spring. He's, Coach, I want to spend my senior year in the playoffs, so whatever I need to do. And so he moved to that inside receiver spot, which will also be in the backfield, blocking, carrying the ball, doing those kind of things. So they've kind of come up with the attitude that whatever it takes to win, let's do it.
And Banks, of course, is another senior who's played. He's played linebacker and running back for you.
And played running back, played linebacker, played a little receiver.
Yeah.
He's played it all, and really he did a good job the other night in the scrimmage with his, being physical and running tough. So that's a good surprise.
I
also.
know. Of course, I've watched Mason Parker and Tyreek Grayson since because they're my son's age.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
Both of them fast playmaker type kids, tough kids.
Yeah,
right?
tough.
Yeah.
You remember Tyreek last year, his first varsity snap as sophomore, got his head blown up against Mesquite Horn, but they're just
came back for more.
Dropping because they made him come out of play,
Right,
and so him and Mason both are very athletic, and they catch the ball well, and we're gonna miss Bryce Wilkerson, but Tyreek's quick as a cat. Mason runs great routes, got good speed, so they're going to be able to hopefully fill Bryce's shoes.
And Ajuan's a heck of a basketball player, which means that he's tall enough to go up and get the thing, right?
Ajuan, he can catch the football. Really, he's got some of the best hands I've seen.
Yeah.
And the good news is, he's got that defensive mentality. He played defense last year at safety, and he likes knocking people's head off. So he's not scared to go across in traffic. And I think we saw that the other night in the scrimmage. He'll go across the middle and catch the football. So that's going to be good to have.
And Dante, I followed 7-on-7 this year, and he really did well down at the state.
That's right.
College Station.
We saw it last year on played on JV last year, and we saw it. He had a cast on his hand, and still got out there and caught the football with that big old club on there, and so he's really improved through the summer also, and made big strides in 7-on-7.
Jordan Devers, one heck of an athlete, so there's depth there. I tell you what, let's let the scrimmage, by the way, and talk about it, and we'll try to get the highlights up here. You scrimmaged Marshall this past Friday night at Trinity Mother Frances Rose Stadium. You've done that for several years. You've worked against those guys, right?
Yeah, and they, Coach Harper's doing a good job over there. They're like us. They're on their way back up, and they've improved every year. And it was a good scrimmage the other night. And I thought, they got a good football team, and they're to make some noise over in their district. But it was a good even battle for us.
If those highlights are available, we'll try to roll those and look at them. But what'd you get out of that scrimmage?
Well, really. Secondary-wise, we taught those young kids that it's not 7-on-7, that they got to read their keys now because they got to play run and pass. We gave up a couple of 3 big plays, and it was all on the kid getting beat with his eyes early. Yeah. And so they're going to have to learn, and hopefully this was a good teaching lesson for them, that they learned it well enough where they don't duplicate that mistake this coming Saturday night. But just that we're going to be able to throw the ball. Really, I was impressed with the way Zach and the receivers operated and threw the ball and checked down to the backs. The whole package in the throwing game was there, which is good because we know we can run the football and do those kind of things in the run game, but the passing game is going to help us a bunch.
Now, injury-wise, I think there was one young man. You had one injury, is that right?
Yeah,
in the scrimmage?
Secondary kid popped his shoulder out, couldn't get it back in.
Hudson
Hill, so they popped it out, couldn't get it back in. They had to go put it in, but he's going to be fine. I guess it was whatever morning it was, Saturday morning or something, Dad called. And
that sounds like it hurts. They popped his shoulder back in.
Yeah, they had.
You say that nonchalantly, but that sounded like that would hurt.
Yeah, usually I guess it does. I've never had mine pop back in, but when you dislocate something, he seemed fine on Saturday morning. Dad said he woke up and wasn't in any pain, didn't need any pain pills.
Good,
So they're
okay.
going to do an MRI just to make sure he didn't tear anything around it, ligaments, and then he'll be ready to go pretty quick.
Kids are pretty tough, aren't they?
A lot tougher than you and I.
Old men don't have much
That's right.
tolerance for pain, do we?
No, we had our time. We can whine now.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway, so that's going on, and the scrimmage went well. You got out of it. Other than that one injury, you got out fairly unscathed injury-wise, right? So you move on now, and this first ball game is coming up this week. What people don't understand is at times is, while school started on August 25th, you guys have been prepping for this moment basically since the last game of back in November a year ago.
That's right. You start with the kids right then, preparing them for what they need to do to be the athletes you need to win football games the next year, and then you start, with your coaching staff, and you head towards spring ball, and then you go through spring ball, and then you make adjustments based on spring ball, and then coaches, we spend the summer up here talking offense, defense, and getting everything lined out, and the kids are going through their summer workouts 7-on-7, and then you just can't wait till August gets here and you get to play a real game.
And again, you're allowed to lift weights in the summertime, right?
You have 6 weeks.
Plus 7-on-7. And then about the time all that comes to an end, they get a week off, and then you start the drills, right?
That's right. And then a lot of these kids, they're going around to college camps in the summer, so they stay pretty busy.
Football at one time, high school football truly was a 4-month commitment, really, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, in the summers, you remember when we were growing up, the coaches had the weight room open. You could go up there if you wanted to work out, but most of us, you were in the hayfield or something at that time. So nowadays, they don't quite have to throw those square bells anywhere, so they need to get up there in the summer and condition.
So the UIL has just changed a lot they've loosened up on a lot of this
kind of
stuff,
evolved. I mean, they've evolved to catch up with the times, with what's going on and stuff. And the safety of the kids is a big thing, and have the kids there in the summer, the conditioning, the heat factor's not as severe on them and stuff like that. So they've done a good job of adjusting, and there's talk of in the future letting the high school guys coach their 7-on-7 team and do stuff like that. So they're always looking at ways to match up with what's going on to make it fair and equitable to everybody.
This 7-on-7 thing, you're both Lee and John Tyler got to state this year and didn't play each other down there, but you worked against each other all summer along with some of the other teams. What do the kids get out of 7-on-7?
Well, really, it's really good for your receivers and DBs. Your receivers get to throw and catch with the quarterback and work on time, and your DBs, they get frustrated out of it, because they won't let them jam them in the summer and stuff like that. You got to avoid contact, but really, it's still they're out there and they're working through their coverages and being in position to hit somebody even though they can't. So it helps them also on work on their coverages and just footwork and stay active.
If we get the highlights up, we'll start rolling those here, before the show ends with the scrimmage. But your district has changed. Everything. I mean, this was a realignment year, and there were changes really for both the Tyler high schools, but you in particular. I mean, everything changed. The Mesquite schools are gone. You traded them in for a whole district in Garland, basically, right?
That's right. So, yeah, and we don't. We've gotten some stuff on some of those guys, but we don't know a lot about all of them, and so it's going to be new, which is good. I mean, it's time for some new and just to see where we are and see where we fall there. I know they've got some good programs over there with history. Saxe's been really good lately, and so I think
Rowlett is in that district,
that's
right?
And I think Saxe went 10-0, won the district last year. Garland's Garland; they're always pretty good. Lakeview's got a lot of good athletes, so it's going to be, it's going to be a challenge. The kids were all excited, when they got the new district and things like that. And I told them, I said, hey, y'all are excited that they're in your district. Well, they're over there cheering. They got us in their district. So it's our job to prepare ourselves to go over there and compete in that district. And
the only holdover from the old district's Rockwall.
That's right. Yeah, and Rockwall,
and they're pretty good.
They're real good. They're going to be pretty good, and I think they're probably one of the district favorites. So they come here, and that'll be a fun night. And
your non-district schedule, of course, includes JT as always, and Lufkin, an old friend. You got to go down there, but it's a very difficult non-district schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no, like I say, there's no weak sisters on that first 3 games, so that's good. We need to be prepared for district and be as good as we can be by that date, and I think those 3 games will make us.
What's the biggest change you've seen in high school football? Because you've done everything. You've even officiated track events in your career. I mean, you've seen from both sides of it.
Really, the biggest thing to me is this mentality of outscoring everybody. At the college level, everybody. But you get to recruit those guys, and so I'm old and I like to play defense, and so I'm even having to change my mindset of, hey, let's go and let's score and you know, try to outscore them. But that's been the biggest thing to me is people have forgotten about the defensive side of it. I know they hadn't forgotten about it, but it sure looks like it when you're winning games 61-54.
In the old days, I heard a pro coach talking about this here a while back. In the old days, it came from the top down. If the pros did it, it trickled down to the high schools. This guy said that really a lot of this spread stuff you're seeing, they're even doing it now.
That's right.
Kind of started high school football. It's kind of gone from high school football up to the pros now,
working its way that direction this time. So yeah, it's pretty neat to see all that. You know, the progression and stuff. But that's really been the biggest change. But it makes sense getting kids in space with the 7-on-7 that they get to do all summer. Teams are a lot better at throwing and catching than they used to be, you know, back in the old days. So that's probably been the biggest change.
Do you think, I mean, a lot of the creativity, especially in Texas high school football, there's a lot of creativity, a lot of new stuff coming right now.
Well, you got to think outside the box, really, and just do whatever it takes to get your guys in the best space available for them to make plays. And so whatever it takes to get that done, everybody's kind of gone to that.
High school football coaching in Texas is pretty good most of the time, isn't it? You compete against really smart guys.
That's right. Yeah, you're not going to, I mean, there's no level today, the smallest school we have, those guys know what they're doing. You're not going to outsmart anybody, really. I say that they can all outsmart me probably, but
the old days, I've heard this cliche many times, outcoached them. That's hard to do now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You better have some players, you know, or that coaching only goes so far with, you know, if you got a bunch of mules, and it's probably not going to work out. But yeah, that's true. It's every week you got to be prepared.
Let's talk about the team. All right, we've already touched on a little bit of the offense. Let's you've got Zach. Your backup quarterback is a young man who's a junior this year, Mark Russell, right?
Mark played the JV quarterback for us last year, and you know, you look at him and you know, he's 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing, but he's just a winner. He gets out there, he's going to execute the offense, he's going to command control, just all the little things, all the things that make you successful, he's going to be able to do those. So we feel really good about that. And then, of course, running back, you got Tavon, got Devontae
Tavon Wesley's a very good football player.
He is really good. And I tell you who's going to shock you is Devontae Craver, kid that was in drop PE last year, didn't even play football, and went up and saw him in that gym, and I said, hey, who's that guy? And got him out there in the spring, and really he looked pretty good the other night in the scrimmage. Just a good kid, just tough as nails, but he can run, kind of a slasher. So we're excited about him, you know. And then, of course, on the defensive side, those guys, really the other night they flew the ball pretty well, except for those 2 or 3 big passes that we read the key wrong and screwed up on. I thought we played pretty good defense.
How about your O-line? We'll get to the defense here in a moment. I want you to talk about the O-line. Lee has a great tradition. You got 3 of those guys coming back this year, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, really we had 4, but we crossed Viella back over to defense. But you know, those guys, and we got our freshman group, you know, is the best freshman group, or the largest numbers-wise since we've been here. I'm trying to teach those O-line guys. Every time I go down under practice, I say, who wins football games? And I've got them taught to say O-line. And it's going to be the same way on our varsity level. You know, all of us little pretty guys that played receiver or running back, we thought we won the games. But really, now that you get old and realize as a coach, the O-line and D-line win football games. So we've got Weeks and Bryson Parker, Justin Willoughby, all back from last year.
Who has a very nice beard.
Yes. Does he still have it?
I think he does. I don't know.
Did
he shave it? Okay, I better not get him in trouble.
Well, he may still have it.
He had it the other day. Anyway,
okay, he may still have it, but tells you how close I look at him with that helmet on. But, you know, then we got Pinkerton, Devin Pinkerton. Then we got 3 guys, Demetrius Taylor, Morgan, and Xavier Gardner battling for that other guard spot. So they're really going to be good. We got, you know, added another O-line coach. Coach Leach left to become a coordinator up in Seymour, and so we got Zach Quinlan, who's from Cy Ridge, who's a tremendous line coach. Him and Denson are going to work well together, and so I'm excited about that, just seeing what they've done with them so far.
All right, let's move to the defense. You mentioned a young man named Jerry Viella, who would be a junior this year. Was a starting guard for you last year at times. You've moved him to nose tackle. Talk about the D-line.
Well, moving Jerry there allows us to move Samples, who's more of a defensive end body type, player type, you know.
And a D1 prospect. He truly is a college prospect.
He's got some good.
He's got potential, doesn't he?
Good physical stuff, and so he'll have to, you know, just stay on top of his grades. I think they're fine without looking at it. But yeah, he does have some potential. Then you got Joshua Ross, Colt Casey, several guys over at that other end battling. But really, we're 2 or 3 deep across the line too, which is going to help.
And you play a 3-4, so those 3 guys. But you've worked the 4-man front too,
That's
son,
right.
haven't you?
That's right.
So you got that ability. Okay, talk about the linebackers now.
All right, going to linebackers. You know, we got Derman back from last year.
Brandon Derman.
Campbell Miller.
Who's
Eric
just a
Miller,
sophomore.
A sophomore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eric's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
He's got some potential to be really good.
Yes, he does.
We've got another kid has to overcome heredity. If he does that, he'll be pretty good. That's Braden Coates. But
I don't know if he can play or not. We'll see.
Joshua Bias, Darrell Cook. We've got a lot of bodies in there we're working with right now. Campbell and Derman are the starting 2, and then at the outside we got Teddy Madlock and Gray Calhoun. Roderick Gaines, some of those guys are working out there, and really actually Braden's on the outside now, so he's out there with Matlock and those guys. So those guys have been real physical. Watching the other night, I was like the way they, DeHavion McFarland, you know, impressed me the other night, the way he set the edge with some physicalness, which is one thing he wouldn't do last year. Yeah. And really every time I watched him, he's knocked somebody's head off setting that edge and helping the other guys fill their lanes.
Secondary, again, I know you have experience. Patrick Udofia played a lot last year. Then he got hurt, did he not?
Well, in the spring last year, he broke his femur.
Okay.
So he came back, I think, week 4 last year, and really he just wasn't himself. He's out there gimping around last year on one leg and stuff, and he's finally back to normal.
But he's a cornerback, right?
Well, he's at safety.
Safety, okay.
And, we've kind of had to move those guys around, but we've got Udo there at safety, and then, of course, Hudson Hill and Mikael Sanders.
Who is Tavon Wesley's brother, I believe, little brother, and a really talented kid.
Yeah, really had a great summer on 7-on-7. Now, you know, he had to figure out the other night real quick that it wasn't on 7-on-7 anymore, and these guys are really fast if you don't read your key and get your feet moving quick.
And you have to put them on the ground, too. You actually get to put them on the ground,
Yeah, that's right. There's no more touch football. But those guys, Tevin Schenkel, Cameron Price had a great scrimmage the other night, which really speaks a lot for him, senior kid. That really was, you know, in the doghouse a lot last year, and so he's made a lot of changes himself and really played really well. Jared Tatum had a big hit the other night on a little quick screen out there. A lot of those. Tevin Schenkel's another sophomore that's going to get a lot of playing time. Deshaun Whitaker is going to battle for some of those spots. So we at least got some bodies out there, and now we've got to figure out.
A lot of them are underclassmen still, too.
Yeah, that's right. Most of them are, except Udofia, I think, in that back half. So. It's going to be a learning curve early, and I think we've got our highlights now.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of those highlights for here to wrap things up. All right, this is the scrimmage. We got time for 4 or 5 minutes of good highlights.
We're on offense here, and this is that's Devontae Craver right there. Did a good job. You know, receivers the other night did an excellent job blocking downfield. This little quick hitch out there to Jordan Devers. Got a little block and help from his friends, so able to get in the end zone. Another view of that same play.
Now this is Zach at quarterback, right?
Zach's at quarterback, throwing to Jordan Devers out there. Okay. That's going to help us spread the field if we can keep doing things.
Devers played some secondary last year.
He played safety last year. Him and Ijuan both did.
Now you're on defense here, right?
Yep.
And Marshall's running the spread, so that gives you an idea what they're up to.
Yep. This is that's Viella, I'm pretty sure, without seeing the up-close version, just remembering from the other night. I think that's Jerry Viella.
Yeah, Jerry's a strong kid.
Yeah, he is. He's very strong. Got a low center of gravity.
He's the nose tackle. Kid lined up over the center here, right? And the big kid on the left is Samples, right?
No, on the left, I think it's Joshua Ross. On the right up there, looks like Samples.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's Ross out here. That's Viella making the play.
Nice. You do that a few times, that'll
that'll help.
Fires everybody up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Still on defense. We weren't able to get the old fancy picture where it drew around their name last year and told you what was going on. That's Brandon Derman. You'll see on the close sniper got him. He made a great read and was getting in position, and you'll see when he gets to the hash, we were teasing him Saturday that we didn't even hear the sniper gun go off when he falls. I guess that stripe was elevated. He just trips.
Derman and Matlock are both seniors.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and McFarland. And some of those guys are all veteran guys that need to lead this year too, don't they? Okay.
I'm going to guess that's Samples, just trying to remember from the other night. We'll see it on the closest view. You got Teddy out there, number 30. Samples over on the right end.
Well, it was a good stick, whatever it was. There.
Well, the biggest thing is we had a bunch of gang tackling the other night. Like I say, outside of those 3 pass plays, we're pretty well pleased with the performance. Again, they throw the quick hitch, but see all the red jerseys hustling to tail that away, so that's what we got to have.
Your defensive coordinator, Coach Curbo, was with you last year. In the last 2 or 3 minutes that we have, just talk about your coaching staff. You had to make a couple of changes.
That's right. Well, on the defensive side, like I say, Curbo came last year, replaced Coach Anderson, and Jim does a great job. I mean, really, he's very intelligent defensively, and can convey it over to the kids is a good thing. You know, at the D-line, we've got Coach Peterson. You know, Coach Reed retired last year, so we got Scott Peterson, former head coach, got a lot of experience. Excited to have him at the linebackers. We have Coach Hoosier. We moved him to the inside backers, whereas Curbo moved out to the outside linebackers. Still got Willie Williams at the corners. We have Tyler Martin, young kid, great coach, hard worker. Excited to get him. He came from Quitman. And, of course, Chad Reese, that former player from here, has to lay out a year, so he's working for the district.
He's going to go back and play. He's still an active college football player, but he's laying out a year.
That's right. He was going to transfer, and so they got to lay out a year NCAA.
That's a big help having a kid like that.
Wow. I mean, you know, luckily we were able to get him a job with the district where he could be a full-time employee, but he helps a lot, you know, because those kids relate to him. Offensively, like I say, we got, I guess, Coach Quinlan with the O-line. Denson was here last year. And then we got Coach Miller working with the outside receivers, whereas Coach Robertson's doing the inside receivers. Jernigan's still at running backs, and Barnes still at quarterbacks.
Coach Roberson's your OC.
Yes, yeah.
Since your Fairfield days, right?
Well, no, in Fairfield, he was there before I got there.
Oh, was he?
He was offense coordinator at Jersey Village for years back in their heydays. And a friend of his, Coach Haynes, had got the Fairfield job before I got it. And that last year, Haynes was there. He brought Dan in, and of course, I saw Dan when he was head coach at Moody, and I was the head coach at Valley Mills, and I saw what he had and thought, he's a pretty good coach. He's winning a game with those kids. Yeah. And so luckily I got him to stick around and then come over here as the OC.
What do you expect for Saturday night? Talk about, I mean, this could be a running gun type ball game, couldn't it? You don't want it to be too much of that.
No,
right?
I don't. I'm not much on that.
Be a lot of throwing, though, right? Fair enough, fair statement.
I would say there's going to be a lot of throwing, and so hopefully there's a lot of running out of the Red Raiders and enough throwing to get it done.
Get it done.
And a lot of throwing from the Fossil Ridge guys. Hopefully they're throwing to us.
What would it mean to win this first game? I mean, it's not the be-all, end-all, win or lose, but what would it mean to win it?
Well, it'd just be a big momentum builder, you know. And like I say, eventually we're going to face some adversity. So let's hope it's not this first week. And get off to a good start. The kids, you know, would continue with their excitement. Either way, you know, we just want to go out and improve over what we were last Friday at the scrimmage, and we'll be just fine. All
right, that first game is is coming up. It's this week. It's the Saturday night final game of the Trinity Mother Frances Kickoff Classic at the stadium. It is 7:30 on Saturday night, not Friday night this year, but Saturday night. Keller Fossil Ridge against the Robert E. Lee Red Raiders, who obviously need and deserve your support, so we'll see you at the stadium. For Coach Piske, I'm Bill Coates. Thanks for joining us.